In the heart of Miami's glittering downtown, under the warm glow of crystal chandeliers, the upscale restaurant Lux buzzed with the chatter of the elite on a balmy evening in June 2024. Amid the clink of wine glasses and the hum of self-important laughter, Elena Martinez moved like a shadow, her worn sneakers silent on the polished floor. Her plain black uniform hung neatly on her slight frame, her dark hair tied back in a simple ponytail, no trace of makeup on her face. To the patrons dripping in designer labels and diamonds, she was invisible, another faceless server at their beck and call. But tonight, that would change. At a corner table, Marcus Klein, a German tech mogul with slicked back hair and a watch that cost more than a car, lounged with his entourage. Their laughter was sharp, meant to dominate the room. Marcus glanced at Elena as she approached, then leaned toward his friends, speaking in rapid German with a smirk. She probably doesn't understand a word. This type only knows how to wipe tables. Snickers rippled around the table. Elena, head bowed, took their order without a word. But when she returned with their plates, she set them down with precision and, in flawless Munich-accented German, said, "Your order, exactly as requested." Not a detail out of place. The table froze. Marcus's smirk flickered, and curious eyes turned to Elena. She didn't flinch, her hands steady, her expression calm but piercing. The restaurant pulsed with wealth, private jet types tossing money like confetti. Marcus's table was the loudest, their arrogance a performance for the room. As Elena walked away, Marcus switched to English, his voice carrying. "That was cute, but let's be real, this table-wiping gig is probably her life's peak." His friends roared. A wiry man in a too-tight blazer, Lucas, shook his head with mock pity. "Look at her shoes." "Not exactly screaming success," added Clara, a woman in a silk dress that screamed money. Their laughter bounced off the walls, but Elena didn't react. At another table, pouring water for a group of businessmen, her jaw tightened just a fraction, her eyes flicking toward Marcus's table for a heartbeat. Marcus pressed on, his voice sharper, as if daring her to crack. "People with real skills don't sling plates." Lucas nodded, sipping his wine. "Yeah, you don't see MIT grads doing this." The air grew heavy, a few nearby guests shifting uncomfortably. Clara leaned forward, her tone sugary but cruel. "Sweetie, invest in better shoes. You're embarrassing yourself." The laughter thinned, some at the table sensing the cruelty's edge. A younger woman at a nearby table, Sophia, in a designer scarf, joined in. "I bet she's never even sat in a place like this as a guest." Her date, a man with a gold chain, chuckled. "Probably thinks this is high-class dining." Elena, clearing a dessert plate nearby, paused, her fingers tightening briefly on the edge. She looked at Sophia and said softly, "I've seen enough fine dining to know it's not about the price tag." The words landed like a quiet slap. Sophia's smile froze, and her date looked away. Elena kept moving, but the room felt different, her presence shifting the air. When Clara smirked and said, "Shoes like that, they're for scrubbing floors," Elena stopped, her eyes locking onto Clara's. "I wear what works," she said, her voice low but razor-sharp. Marcus snorted, but the laughter was uneven now, some guests frowning. Elena picked up an empty glass and walked away, her steps steady. The mood shifted further when Elena, serving a table of Italian tourists, slipped into perfect Italian, describing the night's specials with such finesse that an elderly man clapped, saying, "You know food better than most chefs I've met." Marcus's table went quiet. Lucas set his glass down hard, and Clara crossed her arms, lips tight. Marcus tried to laugh it off. "What? She's a language genius now." But his voice faltered. Then Marcus crossed a line. He waved over the manager, a nervous man named Paul, and pointed at Elena. "She spilled wine on our table earlier." Totally unprofessional. The room hushed, forks pausing, eyes on Elena. Clara smirked, sensing victory. But before Elena could respond, an older man with gray hair and a quiet authority stood. "That's a lie," he said firmly. "Her service has been impeccable." He walked over, leaned toward Marcus, and said something low. Marcus paled, his bravado crumbling. As the night wore on, a woman with a yappy dog in her lap snapped at Elena. "You're in the way, girl." Elena stepped aside smoothly. "My apologies, ma'am. I'll ensure your evening stays perfect." Her tone was polite, but carried an edge that silenced the woman's retort. Marcus, desperate to regain control, tossed a $100 bill on the table. A tip, so you remember your place. Elena picked it up, set it back, and said, I don't take what isn't mine. Then, from her plain bag, she pulled a sleek card with gold lettering, a shareholder ID for a major bank Marcus bragged about being a VIP client for. Your money, she said calmly, also comes from me. The room went silent. A guest snapped a photo, the flash cutting through the dim light. Marcus's face reddened, his words dying in his throat. Elena moved on, serving another table, but now eyes followed her with respect. The older man nodded to her, the Italian tourists whispered her praises, and even Paul avoided her gaze, shuffling menus nervously. Marcus tried one last jab. If you're so rich, why play waitress? The room held its breath. Elena set her tray down and stepped closer. I invest in people, not just numbers, she said. I'm buying this chain to create jobs, scholarships, opportunities. An elderly guest stood, shaking her hand. That's the heart this world needs, he said. Marcus sank back, defeated. By morning, the photo of Elena's card was viral. Lucas lost a sponsorship, Clara was snubbed by her social circle, and Marcus's bank reviewed his status. Elena didn't gloat. She finished her shift, her husband a tall, quiet man picking her up as the room watched in awe. She walked out, leaving a changed restaurant behind. Years ago, in a cramped Orlando apartment, Elena had helped her mom count bills at a rickety table, the weight of survival heavy. That memory lingered in her eyes, fueling her quiet strength. She didn't need to shout to be heard. She just was, and that changed everything. What do you think? Did Elena humiliate Marcus too much, or did he deserve it? Should she have revealed her power sooner, or was her silence her strength? Drop your thoughts below, hit that like button, and subscribe for more stories that spark debate. Where are you watching from?